we're ready, away we go.
What makes the difference between a side that couldn't hold the ball last week to a team that can just use it so well this week? Does that frustrate coaches or...?
No. As I said even before the game, and I said during and after last week's game, I thought we showed some really positive stuff last week. It's hard to believe when you lose, but the reality was I thought we'd built a bit better into the right style of football that we think we can play, and it was pretty important for us tonight to play the way we needed to try and find a way to win. Didn't matter who we were playing, we just needed to find a win, and we managed to get there.
You say no matter who you were playing, the factor of Hawthorn, all the events that built up, is that?
Yeah, no, I don't. As I said, I don't need to go into that. It was just we needed to win round 5, gather round at home, and Hawthorn were the opponents that been on top. They've basically been the best team in the comp for the last 12 months, and it was a big ask, but we found a way.
Before the game, you said we'll be ready. When asked about it, how did you know the boys were going to come out like that?
I lied. I just hoped. Is that okay to say as a coach? Sometimes people ask you all the time, how are they ready? They go, I don't know. Actions speak louder than any words you can talk. So for me, it was around, we looked okay at the start of the game we were on, and we were up for the challenge of Hawthorn, which was good.
So what do you think was burning inside them?
Clearly in our players?
Clearly they were massively.
Well, again, they're professional performance, and they know that at 1 and 3, our season was getting into some challenging positions, and we're always pretty confident in if we played the right way, we can win lots of games of footy still. And I think, as I said last week, you can't underestimate how much we took from last week's game and in the improvements that we needed, and we delivered on that again tonight, I thought.
Not to do that, I guess the way you're doing the first half especially, that would be on your wildest dreams, anyone's wildest dreams in a way.
Yeah, I think we're capable of that type of powerful performance, and it takes a lot of things to go right, and it takes 23 people to buy in, and I think that was ultimately what we were able to do tonight, is that we didn't have a passenger at all in the first half. I thought everyone was trying to play in a really strong manner in the way that we were planning to play, and each player did their piece in that first half particularly, and then we knew, like Hawthorn, they're a high quality team, high scoring team who come hard. When you get caught in that position of chasing, you know that it's going to go. We did a bit of that last week. We were chasing from behind, and everything's got to go absolutely perfect. And in the end, we were put enough gap that we ended up winning the game.
You've still got a few tricks up your sleeve, Ken.
Sorry?
You've still got a few tricks up your sleeve. When did you decide that Connor was going to play halfback?
We're there to support our captain. He's been a fantastic young captain for us, and we just felt like there was an opportunity to support him a little bit differently this week. Very early in the week, we were mindful of trying to help him because Zach had been back for a week as well, and Ollie and Drewy and Meady, they get undervalued a little bit. We don't certainly undervalue them, and Connor probably could have got 3 from half back. It would have been a pretty good performance, but 2-1 still okay.
Was that a surprise? You kind of hinted at pre-game?
Did I hint at a surprise? Did I? No, I don't know. I suppose the surprise was I wanted us to play the way we played, and if we do that, you get written off really quickly in the comp, don't we? It's really quite a ferocious competition when you have a couple of below par performances. We've always maintained belief internally that we can play against the best teams in the comp, and we're going to have to. We've got Sydney next week.
Could Connor stay there, Ken?
Sorry?
Could Connor stay there?
Well, it's an option. Certainly an option for us. We know he can play there. We know he can be damaging there. We lost a pretty handy player from that position, so he can certainly step up there. He'd be a real challenge for most teams in that spot, but ultimately we'll use our players week to week in the positions that we need to challenge the opposition if we can.
On Connor, how it's pleasing to see him come out and play that way, especially after he got criticised, his captaincy almost got questioned.
As I said, the game can be too critical too quick, and I appreciate that. There's so many shows and stories that have to get written around people, and it can be a little bit unfair at times, but that's the game we're in, and we understand that, so we embrace that. Connor, he knows it's never going to be perfect every week. He knows that. Like Zach, when he's being tagged, like Jason at different times, those mids get a bit of attention. Mitch Georgiades, any of those players are in pretty important. Aaliyah is another one of them players. So I'm going to rattle them all off, so I don't individualise too much, I hope.
So Ken, how much is that about also the structure that you get? Lord, Georgiades, Aaliyah, and Radical It's about now having the right pieces to have that.
Well, every week you need your best players to be able to play in the positions that they're best suited in. It's probably not so much about your best players, it's about the best players for those positions. And I think some of our game was lacking a little bit up the front a little bit without the contest. And, we tried to substitute that a little bit when we didn't have Ollie available, but we always, pretty positive around Ollie's future. So he's shown some really important stuff for us in the first 2 weeks back.
Another guy really important in the first quarter, Joe Richards, as a small forward. I mean, to see what he was doing, there was a couple of goals, 8 goals in his first quarter.
Cripper, mismanagement. The way we've been able to do it and bring in the right type of players, Junior Rioli over the journey, our list management and our recruiting team, they do a great job. That's the art of recruiting well, is identifying the people that you need in the spots that you need them in, and Joey's been sensational for us. I'm really pleased because it was a pretty brave decision. He knew he was leaving a bloody big club and a good club to come to Port, but he knew he was coming for the opportunity to play.
You said it was the start of the season and the fact that the opposition was so good that would motivate the players. There's no sense of what had happened last year and the rivalry and so on to actually...
No, the rivalry, as I said, the rivalry in sport is great. I said that before the game. We sometimes overplay it a little bit. I think both sides will embrace rivalry, and we always are up for any of those sorts of things. But, let's not let them go too far the wrong way. And, I respect the Hawthorn Football Club, and I'm sure they respect our footy club.
How do you always been able to get the group up, Ken, for big games? When you said you lied about whether they were up for it themselves, did you question yourself at all? Did you still have the ability to get them up when it mattered?
You're not asking that question, I'm, as I've said all the time, the energy to help and be a part of the team and support the players and the rest of the coaching group, it's not in question. And I wish people would stop asking that question, regardless of what happens. I reckon it's a really unfair question to continually ask for someone who's been around the game for as long as I have, and the club that we are, and we bring the energy week in, week out. We may not win every game, that's clear, but stop throwing the stuff that's not really, it's not accurate, I don't think.
Do you
think, though, that it's possible that players had your back?
Yeah,
They rally to you when there's a discussion because of the handover. It's going to happen, right?
people you care about for a long period of time, you don't stop caring overnight. It's real. And we care about each other. We build a lot on our connection. Really, really important for us is that we hang together when times get tough, and we did that again. Tonight. We know no one else is going to really help us. It's the blokes who go out there and play, and all the blokes who are at training through the week, and everyone inside the footy club, they're the ones who hang together. And we'll enjoy tonight for a little bit, and then we'll move on quickly.
How do you keep this going? Because
it's going to be bloody hard. It's going to be hard. It's a tough competition. I don't know whether I say it every year, but no one listens. But it's a tough comp. We go to Sydney next week, for God's sake. It's pretty tough, but we look forward to it. Every week you're playing this game. If you're not up for it, you'll get beat, and you've just got to be up for it more often than not over the course of a season.
He played well and he's an entertainer, but what did you think of Willie Rioli showing footy?
I actually didn't see what he did. I just knew he got a second shot at goal, which I was bloody happy about at that point in the game. So, if he showed the ball, all I know is Willie is an entertainer, and we should embrace those boys, and we should be really looking after what they do to the game of footy. It's such an exciting time to watch them when they play.
So talk about entertainment, the fans took to using the aeroplane sort of action towards the end. Do you like to see that really in support of you and support of the club?
I think that's okay for the fans, because that's what footy's about. I'm sure both teams' fans would have been looking forward to whatever the opportunities were at the end of the game. I don't care for it too much. As I said last year, I've said enough around what happened, and I apologise, and I'll say it again to the Hawthorn. I was disrespectful. I didn't mean to be, but I was. Fans can now play with that and use it. I've been around a long time. I've seen Sheeds with his jacket waving and all those sorts of things. So, it doesn't hurt too much, I don't think. As long as it stays inside and it doesn't blow up to be something more than that, which I would really, really not like.
Where does Tommy Cochrane's first goal sit as your first goal for you?
Yeah, it was highlight. We said before the game, I said, Cockers, when you kick your first goal, it's going to be some sort of celebration. He's got such a story. His dad would be so happy. His dad and his mum and his whole family would be just so happy for him. But I don't think they'll be any happier than his footy family. And that's the Port Adelaide Footy Club. They were just so happy for him.
Was Miles' knee?
Sorry?
Miles' knee.
Yeah, it was just a silly one. It was like a burst of... And when you hurt them, they blow up big time. Like, it swelled up. If you had seen it, you would have thought there's no chance this bloke's a chance to go back on. But You can manage it. Optimistically, we would say he should be okay next week.
Was the
But we'll get a
master-
scan.
Ken, what was the feeling like at about 8.5 minutes left, I think it was, when it got to 22, which,
You asking me that, Jake? How do you think the feeling was?
well, it seemed like...
I keep looking at me watch going, oh, geez, how much longer? You know, how much longer has this game got to go? Couldn't we call it off? Stop now? But no, as I said, they're a great team. They just come and they come with such power. And, you know, Gunston, Sicily, Bruce, their key leaders just stood up when they needed them to. But I was so proud of our willingness to keep absorbing. You know, we knew we'd built a pretty good lead. That's why it's 4 quarters. You've got to do it over the 4.
Pretty
It's the
big
master
crowd out there,
stroke,
Ken. So, pretty big crowd out there. Will you ask for your 20 grand back?
Come on, move on. Look, I understand. I've said it enough. I'm not going to buy into it anymore. I'm just so happy about the performance of the team tonight in a really difficult season. I'm just rapt that we got to win.
Was the master stroke bringing Barrett in for the team meeting because he's taking all the credit?
Oh, is he?
He's taking all the credit. He's saying he's put the players in the right.
I don't care what the master stroke was. I'll take it. That'll do. Good on you. Thanks.
Yeah.